it away. Take it from there.
Thanks.
Thank you. I can't see any of you. All I can see is my PowerPoint here. So um, I'll just take it away. And as we said, this is teaching the four-way test in schools to decrease bullying. And I'm sure you've all seen this slide before, once or twice, and with the four-way test on it. And my feeling is it's basically the golden rule. You know, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And we're just going to touch on the basics, the why, when, who, what, effects, how, and some tools in the course of this presentation today. First is the why, and one reason is bullying, and that's among many other reasons, but we'll talk about mostly bullying today. And I found some statistics from the, according to the National Education Association and Pacer Center, and a website you might want to check out, stopbullying.gov. And they have said 1 in 7 students in grades kindergarten through 12th are either a bully or have been the victim of bullying. And an estimated 160,000 US children miss school every day due to fear of attack or intimidation by other students. 83% of girls and 79% of boys report experiencing harassment. And 6 out of 10 teenagers say they witness bullying in school once a day. And this is all across the United States. 35% of kids have been threatened online. And now I just want to say that the whole online, protecting your children online, internet security, that could be a whole other, you know, half an hour or more presentation. But we'll maybe do that in another time. But I just wanted to point that out about online bullying. It's a real problem. And 57% of boys and 43% of girls reported being bullied because of religious or cultural differences. And nearly 70% of students think schools respond poorly to bullying, so we can help the schools. Now here at Los Angeles Unified School District, they just had a whole news segment on ABC, NBC, and CBS about the schools having a problem with bullying, and kids don't think that LAUSD is responding very well to it. And 1 out of every 10 students who drop out of school does so because of repeated instances of bullying. Now, I just want to touch base on this. I also work with Mediators Beyond Borders, and I work with the police departments and local citizens and kids and all kinds of projects. And we had a session with a bunch of high school kids, and some of them were being bullied, some of them were bullies, but the police actually handed out their cards to these kids because they say the kids that are bullied, the child traffickers, they look for those kids that are bullied because they look for vulnerable children. So bullied children are vulnerable children. And so this is a big problem. And my district, 5280, is actually going to be working on this a lot this year and trying to stop child trafficking, at least in Los Angeles. Now, I hope some of you looked at the little 6-minute speech that this young woman, 17-year-old Rachel Martin, gave. This was in a district in Ohio, 6670, and she was the 4-way test. They had a 4-way test speech contest, and she was the first place winner. And if you saw it, I think she just kind of nailed it for teenagers. I mean, I hope you can go watch it, tonight or tomorrow if you haven't seen it yet. But it was a wonderful presentation. And I think Eve sent out the website where you can go, the YouTube link that you can go watch it. So I hope you do go watch it. We don't have time to do it today, but I hope you go see it. It's a wonderful speech by this young woman. And it also shows you things that clubs can do. They can have 4-way speech contests. They can also have 4-way speech. They can also have 4-way test art, contests, and 4-way test writing contests. I'll send Eve some of the things I've seen that kids have written, and so you can pass that around. But there are things that you can do within the 4-way test. When should we teach it? Now. this minute, yesterday. Our schools, our children need the four-way test and ethics in general, and they need it now, and they need it right now. And I put this up here because the day before I left for Atlanta, well, that Sunday before, at my church, I go to a Presbyterian church here in Los Angeles, and they have these little prayer requests, and I said, oh, please help me do a good job on this four-way test thing I'm doing at this international convention. And, dropped it in to the plate. And then the day before I left, I got this email from the woman, the director of Child and Family Ministries. And as you can see, it says, I am part of the prayer team here at WPC, Westwood Presbyterian Church. I read with interest about your four-way test as a way to combat bullying. My grandson in second grade was involved with an incident the last week of school, and I would love to pass on useful resources to my daughter and son-in-law. So I called her when I got this email, and we're going to be working on the four-way test actually even in Sunday school. So it's not even, schools. It's, I'm sure, there's Sunday schools, Hebrew school. I mean, there's other organizations, sports clubs that might want to be interested in passing on the four-way test to the kids there too. And who should be teaching it? It's you, it's me, it's all of us, it's your club members. It's the Rotaractors who can work with high school kids and the Interactors who can work with younger kids in teaching the four-way test. So it's everybody. Because you're not a teacher doesn't mean you can't teach the four-way test. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Bill Chapman. You've heard his introduction, and he's going to be talking to you about what they're doing in Texas. Bill, you're on.
I am. Well, good evening. I'm the superintendent of schools in Gerald, Texas. We're a small district of about 1,700 kids. We're still growing. We're just north of Austin, Texas. I'm a member of the Georgetown Sun Cities Rotary Club, which is on the west side of Georgetown, a very active club, as Bob can attest to. I'm glad to hear you on here, Bob. About 2 years ago, our school brought in the Early Act First Night program. And if you've not heard of Early Act First Night, which I was surprised you hadn't heard much about that, Early Act First Night is a program geared towards elementary kids. We do it pre-K through 5 on our 2 elementary campuses. And what it does is basically it brings in, has a theme of King Arthur the Knights type thing. And so a night comes out once every 6 weeks. And for 6 weeks, the teachers have worked on one virtue. It could be discipline. It could be respect. It could be any form of good character, perseverance, empathy. It runs the gamut year by year. And what happens is for 6 weeks, those teachers work on that trait with our kids. At the same time, every single day during announcements, our kids say the pledge, the Texas pledge, do a moment of silence, and recite the four-way test. Then once a 6 weeks, the night comes to the school, and each teacher in their classroom awards the child who they feel has given has shown that character trait the most over that 6 weeks. Say that they pick a child, everyone is doing respect. Each teacher goes up and reads a statement they wrote about that child and how they show respect to their teacher, to their parents, to their classroom. And the child comes up and the knight gives them a medal. At the 5th grade level, the child actually gets knighted. They take a knee and the sword goes down on each side. The knight, during their presentation, tells a story that involves that virtue being used in real life with a knight story. And at the end of each one of those ceremonies, once again, our kids recite the four-way test. And you think that people in clubs know four-way tests? I guarantee you, my 4th graders, my 5th graders, my 3rd graders are the loudest four-way test reciters in the world. They scream it in those meetings, the top of their lungs. And so it is very powerful. I actually sent a text message to my board president who has 2 kids in our school, one in 6th grade and one in 4th grade. Both of his kids over the last few years have received awards for virtues. And he goes, it's a really good program. The kids love it. Both of his kids got respect at different times, years from teachers. And It's one of those things they live it and they take it on. And what happens is, you know, those all of those virtues correspond to the four-way test. That's all it is. They pick things that are good character. There are ethics, like Marsha spoke about, and it's a way to bring a ethics program to our kids, where they are able to live the four-way test out each and every day. It's really been a nice thing. I can tell you from a school perspective, we've had this 2 years. We have seen the number of discipline referrals each year has decreased from our kids. There is more shows of good behavior by our kids. Our teachers love the program because it's easy for them to implement, but it's also, they see it in the classroom. They see their kids and they can remind them, are you being respectful? Are you being empathetic? Are you, doing things for the good of everybody? And that really helps reframe the conversation with kids. Kids are reactionary and will take on what's going on. And when you have a whole culture that builds of a respectful culture where you're doing good things for the good of everyone, it really changes those kids' mentality. Once a year, and Bob's come several times, I think, to our school, we host the Rotary Club on our campus at one of our schools. And the last couple of years, we've had our principals, our counselors come and talk to our Rotary Club there about how the kids have been impacted. Their stories are far better than mine, but they see it with the kids. And what you see in the picture there with the night, the family comes up as well on the night, on the day of the nighting. And so it involves not just that kid, it takes the four-way test and the virtue from the kid to the family. And, we say we do this for the kids, and that's great. But in addition, the families have latched onto this because, a lot of times you have the best of the best of the kids are always the ones recognized. Your top athletes, your top academic kids. What happens here sometimes, it's not always that same kid being recognized. Other kids get recognized. And when you start recognizing some kids that maybe have never gotten an award in school, out of school, no matter what, it really builds up a better foundation for that child. And so between the Early Act First Night program, which is phenomenal, the Georgetown Sun City Rotary Club covers the cost of the program for us outside of $2,000. The school contributes $2,000 a year to it. The Sun City Rotary picks up about $10,000 a year. They pay for that for our schools. But it really has helped change the culture of our schools to where our kids understand and live that virtuous life from the nights through the four-way test set by Rotary. And so that's how we do it. And we're very, very, very proud of what we're doing. But it really does, from an administration standpoint, I've pulled reports. Our referrals have gone down. When we do have things happen, we're always going to have things happen because we have, 700 kids. They're always going to do some things they shouldn't do. But it really has changed that culture and mentality and helped our schools be better, I believe. Marsha?
Thank you, Bill. And did everybody see if they want to check out the website for Early Act First Nights, eafk.org? Just want to make sure you got that. And now, the big question is how to get it into the schools, getting the four-way test into schools. Well, of course, Bill is the superintendent of the school, so he didn't have to go to anybody really, but he was on board with it, and also in the Rotary Club. And you may have to talk to your principal or the superintendent of schools or the local school board. In every city, like in my city, I talked to the principal of our school because Los Angeles Unified School District is so massively huge. It'd be great to get it in all the schools, but starting off with one, and then I'm going to go to another school, and hopefully the good news will spread. But you have to kind of do your own little research about where you need to start with, the principal or the superintendent or the local school board, wherever you are. And one of the things you can say is go over the four-way test with them and explain that it is the foundation of Rotary. The four-way test is up in many high school gyms to encourage good sportsmanship. And master's degree theses have been written on the four-way test. At Pepperdine University here in Malibu, the four-way test is up in a bronze plaque. They have a bronze plaque with a four-way test on it. And as we were talking about, it's a call to ethics for children, teenagers, and adults. It helps the potential bully. It actually helps the potential bully before they become a bully, as you can imagine. The children have the four-way test to back them up in a situation, whatever situation they might be in. My own little granddaughter, she just got finished third grade, and just as an example, some little boy got a haircut, and another little girl was saying, "Oh, he looks like a chicken, or something, not complimentary to his haircut at all." And my granddaughter said to her, "Does that sound like it's building goodwill and better friendships? I don't think so." And, so they actually use it. And the four-way test empowers the children to be better people. It is a philosophy that they can engage in. The four-way test gives them a voice for good. The four-way test teaches ethics. We keep talking about ethics all the time. And the four-way test helps children think about their words before they say the words. And the four-way test helps children think about their actions before they do something. So maybe we can head off some potential bullies. You know how when kids get together, the peer pressure can be very daunting. And at least these kids will have the four-way test behind them, and they know that it's not cool to bully that kid or a new kid in the class or whatever's going on in the school that day. Now, there's no magic wand. Unfortunately, we do not have a magic wand that can get into a school. Getting it into a school varies by towns, districts, and the principals. And so we each have to kind of experiment in our own way to see what works, for us. What works in Florida may not work in Charleston, North Carolina. And what works in Charleston, North Carolina may not work in New York. And what works in New York, may not work in California. So you have to kind of fill out your own district, fill out your principals and your schools, and see the best approach to take. And some of the tools, unfortunately, Dottie, she's in the Rotary Club in Ohio, and their Rotary Club started books, the Apple Dumpling Adventure. And in fact, if you were in Atlanta, you may have met Andy, who's a character in this book. And the Apple Dumpling Adventure talks about, all the four-way test principles, is it the truth? And where Andy collected a bunch of apples from Elmer's tree, and he was started making apple dumplings and was making money and all this, and they realized, oh, these are Andy's apples, not mine, and you should share, and it's a whole big adventure. And the website is easy to remember, andyandelmer.com. And the proceeds from this is their fundraiser that they do for the year, except they sell the books all year long. And for this particular club, this is how they get the money to do other, projects, in the schools or wherever, they're working on projects. And I encourage you to go to the website and check it out. My grandchildren loved it. In fact, we've made the apple dumplings on several occasions. And I can see it in them that they are really thinking about things before they say something and before they do it. And they'll call each other out on things, is that fair? Is that the truth? Are you telling the truth? And so it's really having an effect on my own grandchildren and with their friends too that I'm seeing. So please go to the website. And they also have, they're putting it out for electronically too. So you can put it on a laptop or a iPad or, some sort of digital apparatus instead of having the hard copy book. But they also have, coloring books. There's coloring books. I don't know if any of you can see this, little bookmarks that they have. And it's a real fun way for the kids to start learning when they're little. there's the website, andyandelmer.com. And there's all kinds of things that Rotary have. I picked up a bunch of these little flags in Atlanta. And you can, this is the website. I happen to notice there was a website on them on the back when I got them. But, you know, you can have flags hanging up in the classrooms, and or you can just make your own four-way test signature, you know, poster or something for your club with your club's you know, logo on it and stuff. But there are different things you can get. Now, this is something that a member of my club wrote a long time ago. I don't know if any of you can see this. I'm holding it up. But I will send Eve about 5 copies of these, and then I'll have to get your address, Eve, of where to send it to. And you guys can pass these around. This is a book. It's only like 77 pages long. And it goes into the four-way test. In fact, I'm sending them to a bunch of people who have requested them that I met in Atlanta at the breakout session that I did on the four-way test. And it's really helpful. And when you're talking to adults or talking to teenagers or talking to little kids, there are things in here that you will really learn and want to you know, apply to those conversations. So I'll send that to Eve, and she can about 5 copies or so, and she can pass them around. And we're going to try to make it, all we have them is in hard copies, but my club has said that we'll try to get it into a digital format also. So we urge you, I'm sure Bill does too, to take the initiative and step out of your comfort zone and get other members of your club involved and do your research in your area. And I'll send Eve more information on the four-way, you know, on different things that different schools are doing and different areas. But the four-way test is really an asset that is really helping schools and helping families and helping even, you know, in neighborhoods to combat bullying, in addition to helping with ethics and other things too. Other situations as they arise. And so I just wanted to end on my favorite quote, that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. And indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And at this point, Bill, you want to turn your mic back on? And if anybody has any questions, we'd like to answer them. I think we have about 15 minutes for questions.
Thank you so much. That was a great talk. And I know people will have questions, and feel free to send anything that you'd like in the chat as well. That's another option. So does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Marsha, I don't know, I probably should know this, but I'm not sure if I know where the four-way test come from.
Well, actually in this book, it was actually written for business in the 30s, and it'll tell you all about it in this book I'm going to send out to you guys, the Rotary's four-way test, or the things we think, do, or say. And it's a business philosophy. And this man, I think it was in Chicago, was having a really hard time with his business, and he came up with the four-way test, and he told all of his, and this is during the Depression, told his employees that we want to live by this, you know, always tell the truth, make sure that it's fair to all concerned, and we want to build goodwill and better friendships in, you know, Chicago here, or I think it was Evanston, and so the four-way test came about to promote business. And when this man started really living by this in his business really took off. And then so Rotary adopted it. And one thing that he says, it's somewhere here in the book, and I can't find it right now, but he says, if people trust you, they'll do business with you. So it was originally started for adults to help their businesses.
You've just watched the E-Club of District 7710's program for July 11th, 2017. If you are interested in finding more information about our club, please be sure to check out our website, Lead With Us, that's LEADWITH.US, and like us on Facebook. It's Rotary E-Club District 7710. And we're also on Twitter and Instagram. If you have any questions about the club and the way it functions, you can message us on any of these sites. We're an e-club and we meet online most Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're really happy you've joined us. Because we had a bit of a recording glitch at the beginning, I'm going to actually go through our introductions again so that you know who was speaking tonight. There was no better way to launch our 2017-18 Rotary year than by hearing about the four-way test as a way to counteract bullying. This program was a huge hit at the Rotary International Convention in Atlanta, where Marsha presented, and it was totally my great pleasure to welcome Marsha Hunt and Dr. Bill Chapman to our meeting. Marsha, as a volunteer, worked for many charities and fundraising, as well as hands-on involvement. This experience proved to be invaluable to her. For the last 15 years, she has been working in an extremely remote area of Africa, a corner of the world that Marsha was told has no future. In that area now stands 4 primary schools, a high school, and a small college. Additionally, Marsha started a tea farm to help build and finance the schools in the area. As her profession, Marsha is a producer. She's an Emmy award-winning producer for Fox Sports and has her own production company. She's worked with Fox Sports for 20 years. Dr. Bill Chapman, our other speaker, currently serves as the superintendent for Jarrell Independent School District in Jarrell, Texas. Prior to working in Jarrell, he was employed as a school administrator in Cold Spring, Willis, and Huntsville. Before he became a school administrator, he served as a teacher and a coach in both Huntsville and Corpus Christi, Texas. Dr. Chapman received the 2017 Distinguished Library Service Award for School Administrators by the Texas School Library Association. He has a BA in history from the University of Texas at San Antonio and a master's in educational administration, as well as a doctorate in educational leadership from Sam Houston State University. Dr. Chapman is in the Georgetown Sun City Club in Texas, and he and his wife, Deanna, currently live in Jarrell. And that's Rotary for tonight. Thank you.